Hey guys, and welcome back to the Heroes Hype Challenger series. Sorry for a little bit of a delay. Panda needed a little bit of a break before we got set up, as they just finished their last series. So we are ready to go, though. We're going to see them take on our winners of the last series, Team Blaze. What do you think, Anna? Are you excited?
Well, I wanted to know, for those of you who may not know, Panda Global was previously known as the Plays, so they are a team that you probably are pretty familiar with if you've been hanging out at Heroes Hype for a while, and if you've been watching the NA Opens on the road to BlizzCon. So this promises to be a really fun game.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. Both of these teams have made it to a round of 8 before. I believe they both made it to the June round of 8 for the road to BlizzCon tournament. So they might have even faced each other. I'm trying to remember. I think they did. So they might be getting a little bit of a rematch here, some revenge, but I'm really pumped to see them take on each other. I'm hoping that we might even get a Game 3. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Casters always love a Game 3, and it looks like the teams are set up and ready to draft, if I am not mistaken. Let me let them know that we are ready. Okay.
So we are going to be on Garden of Terror once again, and I think it's interesting that we've seen a lot more Garden of Terror games recently than we had in past. Kind of got a little on the upswing, you might even say.
Yeah, I wonder why that is, whether the current meta is more conducive to that, whether teams really like the kind of cyclical nature of this battleground. Do you have any theories?
So we have seen like a trend toward the late game. So I'm kind of thinking maybe it's that, because it's a guarantee that it's going to be a longer game. It's just a very big open battleground. The battleground objective takes a while to really start doing a ton of damage, so you can't just like get a terror and then, unless your opponent's team is just really uncoordinated, you're not going to be able to push like through and take out a keep or anything like that with your first Garden Terror. So I think it's just a trend toward a later game, because we do have some of those heroes that people really like to try to get to the late game, especially something like Kael'thas. But yeah, we jumped in the draft and immediately just got into it.
Right, yeah. Speaking of Kael'thas, he has been the most recent pick, but the bans were Uther and Lost Vikings, so Panda Global was able to first pick that Zeratul, and they're going to add Kael'thas to it. That is a lot of damage, but Team Blaze, of course, no slouch either. Jaina and Zagara together, so they've got burst damage as well as vision and a great hero for laning.
I am really amazed that, I mean, the ban on Vikings makes sense for Panda, because you kind of get that as the first pick, first ban. You get to not ban Zeratul because you, as long as you've got somebody who can play him, you can ban something else, and then it's up to your opponents to have to be the one to ban Zeratul, who is kind of the most banned hero by far right now. But instead, Blaze chose to ban Uther, who has been a big focus lately. He's always been a big focus for supports, but I feel like he's really taken the lead, especially since the last patch.
Yeah, Zeratul's the prom king right now. He is to the current meta as Arthas was to alpha meta. He is the most desired. So seeing him be picked up, no surprise. And of course being complemented with a Rhaegar, again, no surprise. Who do you think we're going to see Team Blaze ban to try to mess up Panda Global's well-laid plans so far?
I'm wondering if they're considering an Abathur, because Abathur Zeratul would be quite scary. They also might be looking at a warrior and then pick up a warrior of their own, but I feel like right now there's a lot of viable warriors, so it's a little bit harder to try to control that meta, but it's still a possibility for sure. It looks like that is what they're going to choose to do. So they're going to take out Johanna. We should see them pick up their warrior, maybe even 2 here, to try to protect that Jaina and Zagara in the back. Meanwhile, Panda are going to ban Malfurion, and with an Uther Malfurion ban and a Rhaegar pickup, guess who's coming to the table?
It's going to be a Panda, but not likely on the side of Panda Global. Team Blaze will very likely end up with Lily, and like we talked about, her Jug of 1,000 Cups can be very effective in maintaining a team, but maybe not quite so much as someone like Malfurion. Team Blaze picking up a warrior, you were right. We are going to see Leoric again. These teams really favoring him so far today.
Yeah, I think that with that, we're going to have Leoric, another warrior, and a Lily to round out. You know what's really funny is we were in the chat getting ready to set up the lobby, and D-Noob from Team Blaze actually said, I keep getting banned into picking Lily. I'm gonna play Lily, and that's exactly what happened to him. So
Yep.
he will be doing that. They went ahead and got Leoric and Arthas, as that is at least nice. They got the warriors that they really wanted to synergize together before Panda ever picked up theirs. So at least they got their first choice in that, as well as that Jaina.
Yeah, and they did play really well with Leoric and Arthas last game. So certainly not a composition that we haven't seen them excel at. I would assume we're going to see their healer next, and that it was going to be Lily, so that leaves them completely picked out. But we have just a dream team over here. We've got Muradin, the tank who never dies, Rhaegar, who can bring you back to life, Kael'thas, who becomes a beast, especially in the late game, Zeratul, who is the prom king. They have a cherry on top pick, as I would like to call it here. This team is already great, almost no matter who you add to it. What do you think, Gilly?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I could see Evola. I could also see them go with like a Tyrande, have the Tyrande Muradin. What I am really scared of is I'm scared for Blaze in the late game. Once Kael'thas gets Ignite, I think it's going to be really hard for Lily to try to keep them topped up. Once she gets to Kung Fu Hustle at 20, then maybe that will help again. But I think it's going to be really tough for her to try to keep up with Kael'thas in those later levels. They're taking their time here. What do you think they're going to go with? Do you think it might be another tank, another warrior, or?
Well, when you look at Team Blaze in a dual warrior composition, they are theoretically going to have fairly good sustainability and fairly good CC. In order to focus down one of those warriors, you're theoretically going to need more damage. However, just gut reaction looking at this composition, that's not what I would necessarily go for, but it is. It is going to be what Panda Global goes for. They're going to add Vala to the mix, and that's certainly going to help them with the tools they already have to single out heroes from this game. If they have Leoric and Arthas in those front lines, being able to single them out and burn them down so they can get at the juicy back line, especially at Jaina, is going to be important.
Yeah, I think they're really maybe considering Tyrande or another warrior, but they ended up going with the triple assassin, so it's going to be the charge of Muradin and Rhaegar to really try to keep them topped up, keep them healed up, and then also to have a good Muradin in the front line. But if you're going to only have one frontliner, Muradin is a great one to have. See, yeah, I called it. I'm playing Lily.
Yeah, D-Noob is prepared for this eventuality, and it is going to be apparently D-Noob who's going to be on Lily. I'll let them know that the teams are ready. And like you mentioned, these are both teams that we've seen with very strong performances in the past. They are fighting it out for Blizzard seeding points, so it's going to help them place better and be seeded higher when they get to the NA Opens. And we're coming right up on those. It's going to be August 8th and 9th.
Yeah, so there's only one of these left before we get into the Opens. Only one more chance, at least for Heroes Hype, to be able to get some seeding points into that Open. There are still another couple of things. I think there's going to be the Kings of the Storm Open. I believe that's this weekend, actually. So these teams are really trying hard to get as many seeding points as they can, really trying to make sure they're not facing a Tempo Storm or a Maelstrom early on in the series, because that'll ruin your day.
It will. But right now, our days are going to be great. These are going to be some really good matches. We have a pink-suited Lily who's ready. And it looks like we are going to go on to Garden of Terror. If you are new to Heroes, of course, Garden of Terror is a collection-style battleground. These teams are going to be looking to grab seeds on the battleground, collect at least 100 of them, and once they do, they're going to be able to get a Garden Terror for themselves. It's going to grow in their base. One of their players can get inside it and use its special abilities to especially push in lanes, but also defend or engage in team fights if they want. There's going to be seeds on the top and the bottom of the map, so teams are going to not be able to hide on just one side. They're going to have to venture farther out if they want to be able to grab all 100 seeds.
Yeah, and in seeing that there is going to be a Zeratul in this, Zeratul already is cloaked, but when we go into the night phase, their vision is actually reduced for a team. So that could be really scary. You can't really, it makes it really even more tough to try to spot him. And there's not going to be a Tassadar to help Blaze do that. So they're really going to have to rely on their knowledge of where Zeratul would be, rely on the creep a little bit to at least be able to open up the vision a bit more, and then make sure they're in the right position. But let's go ahead and introduce the teams. We are seeing Blaze here in the blue with Claudius on the Leoric, Rafflecopter on Jaina, Solemn playing Arthas, Lily played by Dunoob, and in the top, Jason on Zagara.
And indeed, in red, we do have Panda Global. It's going to be Daihu on Muradin, Evan Drinde on Vala, Zeus playing Kael'thas, Lex Uther on Rhaegar, and Moon playing Zeratul.
Indeed, it's time for the final hopefully three games of the Heroes Hype Challenger Series this week. I'm really excited to see these teams. I think they're really excited to be playing here too, playing for some seeding points for the road to BlizzCon Open. And we're going to see them heading out into their lane, but already Moon's going to start rotating around. We'll be seeing Zeratul do that a lot, trying to maybe get an early takedown, start pushing his team ahead in experience.
We have Zagara up here managing a lane by herself with Jason. She's going to be up against Daihu, though, who is going to be an immovable force in many ways. And then down here in the bottom, we're seeing Claudius lurk, waiting for Lex Uther and Evan Drinde to move forward.
Yeah, and Jaina and Arthas are very close to either lane, so they were really looking to see where they could maybe pick up a takedown. Really trying to maybe grab either Kael'thas or Zeratul here. Zeratul was going to head up. So we're seeing a little bit of a gank squad on either side here. And Arthas and Jaina one is a very scary one, too.
Yeah, not a lot of crossing swords yet, though. A lot of just kind of playing footsie. These teams both not being willing to put themselves in harm's way yet as they wait for the first night phase, which will be about 3 seconds from now. We'll probably see teams go for those safe seeds, and we actually see Sam and Rafflecopter already ready to grab the seeds, but Evan Drinde wanted to get a piece of them before they did. They turned on them, and now we do have Evan Drinde getting very low, but managing to get behind the wall. Claudius is going to Wraith Walk away from Lex Uther, who is going to chase in Ghost form. Now Claudius is very low with Evan Drinde on the follow-up, but Solomon and Rafflecopter are able to grab those seeds. Claudius is happy to be bait as he is a warrior.
Yeah, both sides doing a really good job of playing fairly passively with the members who are not involved in the ganking. So doing a really good job. Like Zagara did not go down, did not overextend into trying to pick up seeds, even though she knew her opponents were picking up seeds on her side. So far, really good job for both sides. But a root goes down. There is the Howling Blast into the Blizzard, and Rhaegar will go down. The first takedown in the game going the way of Team Blaze.
Psalm's going to tap the well and then come back. She's going to need to do it fast because Moon and Evan Drinde were there. They did manage to take down Claudius, who's now undying. Now we've got a stun also on Psalm, who is surrounded, but Claudius doing his best to slow the rest of the team. Oh, it's going to be too late. We will lose a total of Vala and Arthas, who are down right now, but they will be down very short amount of time.
Yeah, so very even takedowns, 2 on each side. Both has also picked up their level 4 talents, and they're looking to try to bolster the seed bank on each side a little bit. But I like that they're not choosing to really split here. They are both trying to engage with the same one, trying to keep the other from getting too many seeds. Moon is going to get hit by a Howling Blast, though, and will go down. Rafflecopter with some excellent bait there and trying to pick him up, and that's a little bit unfortunate. They're not going to have their cloaked Zeratul to put fear in the hearts of Blaze, who are going to be able to pick up the rest of those seeds.
Yeah, and I thought maybe we would see Team Blaze immediately go toward that top plant. It looks like we saw... well, Arthas is headed up there, but I don't know if we'll have a full commitment to grabbing those seeds. Maybe they're not too worried about dominating that seed game.
No, they did lose their Zagara, so she's going to be down for a few more. But if they're not careful, they've got to at least get some of the seeds here because Panda did contest. They might be able to get a Terra here, but they are going to also be able to pick up Arthas. However, Daihu and Moon are quite low, so Rafflecopter and Dunoob are going to try to get something done here, but the rest of the members of Panda are here, and I feel like this is a little bit of an overextension here for Blaze, who are also going to lose their Jaina. So Lily might also go down. It looks like she will, but Zeratul got a little too far forward in trying to pick up that takedown. Will go down as well.
That's what I call the Lemmings effect. If you feed a team one by one, all of your members, you will very unlikely succeed And that's just what happened to Team Blaze. They came in one by one instead of with their full force. Panda Global was able to just pluck them one by one from the face of this battleground. Now, though, Psalm and Claudius on the chase of Lex Luthor, but that the Ghost Wolf is going to be able to let him escape fairly handily, so they're going to be relegated to just moving back into their lanes and trying to soak experience as they have just a little tiny bit of a deficit.
Yeah, they lost Zagara once again, so Blaze are going to choose to try to just murk up here. It's really nice. Neither one was able to pick up a Garden Terror, so Blaze did a really good job of like stepping in at the last second and being able to get enough of those seeds to just barely deny Panda their terror. And so now they're just going to choose to murk up, get some pressure going, wait for the next night phase, try to get as much experience as they can. Looking at some of the builds, Vala went with a multi-shot build, so a little more old school here. Oh, Leoric is going to go down thanks to some of that AoE damage from Evan Drinde.
Yeah, the Dwarf Toss, too, kind of finished the job, it looked like, from Daihu. Now we're going to have Siege Giants pushing in the mid lane. Claudius is going to be there, but he can't do much until he comes back to life. Now he will, but Daihu is there to contest as well.
Man, there's so much action going on, like fighting happening everywhere on the battleground. Both teams getting pretty close to 10, but Panda are just barely in the lead in that respect. So we're seeing Blaze really focus on making sure that they have somebody in lane, making sure that they can try to catch back up in experience, which they should be able to do so. Also, we did get Sledgehammer for Murden, so he's going to be able to do a little bit of extra damage to structures. It's not always something that we see there at level 4, but we do sometimes, and that's going to help just help them be able to push a little bit more handily, especially when they do get that Garden Terror later on.
What do you think of the Zagara build here? We're not seeing as much of a focus on the creep as sometimes we might.
Oof. Sorry, that was a great takedown there on Rhaegar and Kael'thas. They picked up the Synderghost and went with it. Yeah, I mean, if it's not something where you necessarily have to have the endless creep, the battle momentum is so nice because you have so many spawns that you can constantly be pushing out, and that really makes you so good at continuing to be a very solid 1v1 champion. She can even do like Merc camps a little bit more easily on her own, so it's another nice thing from her as well. So I really like battle momentum on her. It does make her a lot more mana dependent. You have to be willing to kind of be okay with going back home sometimes, and you have to plan accordingly, especially with team fights. So that is kind of the one drawback.
Yeah, I think we're seeing her compensate for that 3 assassin composition that Panda Global has there.
Definitely.
She needs to be able to do a little bit more damage to help out Jaina, where most of the weight of the responsibility for damage is falling on her.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Looks like we might be getting into an engagement here on the bottom. D-Noob getting caught out of position, trying desperately to get away, but a Stormbolt goes down and they will be able to pick up Lily. And that's trouble for Blaze. They don't have their support. They are still going to come in and try to make something happen here. Psalm's going in and with the Howling Blast will be able to take out Vala, but will he go down as well? Because the Void Prison was catching the rest of his team members, and they will go down. There is a Devouring Maw. Not sure if they can make something happen with it. Oh, into the March of the Black King. Murden goes down. Rhaegar falls as well. And Blaze turned that fight around.
I love the Maw into March of the Black King. That allowed Claudius to get so much bang for his buck out of that heroic ability. And now that's going to give a good opening for Claudius to continue working on these towers. Where's the rest of Team Blaze? They went back to heal and kind of fell back to grab seeds, I suppose.
Yeah, Zagara was starting to seed a little bit. You mentioned the Devouring Maw into the March of the Black King, and pair that with Jaina's ability to throw a blizzard down. She even got Snowstorm too, so like a big blizzard on top of that, and all of a sudden they're slowed as soon as they get out of it, so they're not going to be able to exit. They can even throw the Synderghost too, so that's some really cool synergy we're seeing from Blaze here. Drinde may go down here. Rafflecopter's really on the chase, but she might have overextended. There goes the Ice Block, though. Gonna try to wait until the rest of the team comes in. There's a Jug of 1,000 Cups to heal her back up. Moon will go down into the Blizzard and the Skeletal Swing from Claudius. And Blaze, once again, are running things with this comp.
The Jug of 1,000 Cups showing how effective it can be. Lily does get sometimes a bad rap being kind of the last available support, but really when she's protected well enough to keep that going to its full potential, her team stays quite healthy, as we just saw.
Yeah, it really comes down to how many stuns your opponent has and how easy they are to throw out on her. So like they have the possibility of Stormbolt, but if she's in the back doing a really good job, then either he has to jump all the way forward to try to throw out that stun, and then kind of maybe exposing his back line or himself, or you know, they have to try to do something different, maybe a gravity lapse. But both of those also are susceptible to like minions, so if she can kind of like just position herself really well behind people, then the stuns are going to be used on somebody else and she'll be able to get the full duration of that Jug of 1,000 Cups, which she definitely did in the last engagement.
Saw him in the Garden Terror looking to grab this fort, but he's going to be hotly contested by Panda Global. He actually spent a little bit of time deciding, going back and forth, waffling over grabbing this bottom garden shambler as well, trying to beef up the amount of seeds that are already held by Team Blaze. They do have enough already for another Garden Terror.
Man, they, not only that, but in the next phase, they'll have more than their opponents again. 54 to 6 after another Garden Terror, and they're 15 to 13. Their opponents just picked up their 13 talents, and they're about to get to 16 too, so Blaze totally running things. For a while it was very back and forth, but man, once they really got up there, once they got a couple of good engagements in their belts, they really started making things happen. There's a Jug of 1,000 Cups, does not get stopped by the Void Prison, so she's going to continue to heal up Claudius, and now everybody is completely healed up. Don't know if they'll continue to engage too much. A good ice block goes down to stop from getting a lot of that damage, and wow, that Devouring Maw is huge.
Well, and the Syndragosa stopping the buildings from attacking, it's going to keep them out of the equation here, and that's going to allow Team Blaze to fight without any regard for the fact that they're on the side of the map of Panda Global.
Yeah, now we've got what Four-Core Jester likes to call the sweet spot, where one team is 16 and the other is 13.
The sweet 16 spot.
Yeah, oh, you just got such a long time before your opponents can catch back up, and 16 is such a good power spike for a lot of heroes. Not even, we talk about Kael'thas's, but just in general, it just gives you so much more. You got the Brood expansion for Zagara, so all of a sudden she can have 2 of those Mutalisks now. You've got the Numbing Blast for Jaina too, so you've got a lot more control and rooting power. And let's see, we got Herbal Cleanse, so now a little bit more of a cleanse coming out from D-Noob. Is going to be able to try to mitigate some of the stuns that are coming out from Panda. They're going to choose to take this next Garden Terror and try to take down their first keep.
You mentioned Kael'thas. This is exactly what Team Blaze wanted to do, is make sure that they hit 16 well ahead of him. And that's going to be a challenge for Panda Global to overcome, although they are showing an incredible amount of resilience, as we saw there from the Dwarf Toss Daihu jumping out of the way and getting Ancestral healed after getting very low.
Yeah, they're really trying, but it does stink to have to lose a keep now, and especially when all your opponents have all their forts back up. And this is just, man, this is the power of Arthas. It's like, oh, we've been so obsessed with Sylvanas for so long, and we kind of forgot that that ability was already in the game with Syndragosa, but no one ever used it. Everyone always used the Army of the Dead, so it's really cool to see people be like, you know, actually making buildings not attack is kind of awesome.
Yeah, I mean, everyone saw him as a certain type of hero and are finding that he can be used in other situations as well. The synergy between him and Leoric has been really cool to watch today. And I'm interested, I would like to see him in some other dual warrior compositions here soon as well.
Yeah, and especially, gosh, the synergy between those, and then that Zagara, like you mentioned. Zagara has been really big, been really favored a lot lately to just the fact that she does deal so much damage in team fights. She has the Devouring Maw to help with kind of zoning too, and she's of course, Beast in lane is just fantastic. All of these heroes that have a lot of different utility have been really favored, like Zagara.
We're going into the next seed phase now, and Team Blaze is actually well positioned to go ahead and grab those fairly quickly. They had Panda Global kind of hold up in their base, defending the push that they had already set out there, but Claudius and Moon are engaged over here over these seeds. He's going to go ahead and let Moon take some of those. He knows that all 5 members of Panda Global are going to be a match for him all by himself. We're seeing positioning around this top Garden Shambler.
Man, already Blaze have picked up their own, and only 10 seeds in for Panda. So Panda not only need to take one of these big ones, but they need to take a lot of seeds from the other one too. And Blaze immediately are going to pick up their first Terror, and I would not be surprised to see them take it down to the other one, just trying to continually deny the terrors that their opponents can get. Looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. So they're going to head down to it. They know that they are almost to 20. Their opponents have picked up 16. So if they can go ahead and get those Storm Talents soon, then they'd have another really big power spike.
Yeah, if they manage to grab all of the seeds out of this Terror, that's going to be 60. It's going to bring them exactly even with their opponent's Panda Global at 70 seeds total. Panda really does not want to let that happen. We see the Phoenix going down, trying to zone away, and now even defensively just trying to keep Team Blaze from attacking. Psalm is going to be at the forefront in that Garden Terror. He's going to look for... he's going to wait for the rest of his team. Moon now coming in, doing what he does best, trying to deal some damage and zip right back out. Daihu trying to contribute as well, but not really being able to do anything to Claudius and Psalm, who are both quite beefy. As a result, Zeratul goes down. The Void Prison does posthumously go off, but it's not going to do much because there's no follow-up.
Well, there is the Ignite. Does a little bit of damage to Jason, but Lily's going to heal through that. I might be eating my words a little bit about her being able to heal through those Ignites. We'll have to see. The Phoenix does go down, is not really zoning off of the keep though, and in fact, looks like Rafflecopter is going to blaze right through it and take out Kale Thoth. So there is the Jug of 1,000 Cups. 2 heroes are down. Kale Thoth is down for 44 seconds, and the core is falling so fast. I think this is it. I think Blaze are going to be able to take Game 1 in our finals.
Yeah, the domination of the Battleground objective was a huge part of what made Team Blaze so stand out here. The fact that they always had more seeds, they always had a Garden Terror coming, it just didn't give Panda Global a chance to catch their breath to go and get out on the battlefield in order to gain more experience or take down some structures or even have a terror of their own to try and help them defend. So just a well-executed performance from Team Blaze, and I think it's very interesting and very telling that before we even got into this game, D-Noob was saying that they knew they would probably have Lily, and that tells me that they were 100% set on having their first 4 heroes, that Jaina, the Zagara, and then the Leoric Arthas combination together, and they didn't care quite as much who their healer was going to be.
Yeah, that happens in these drafts, is you kind of have to prioritize 1 or 2 of the roles and then be okay with getting the last in another one of those roles. And we've started to see these teams do that with supports. Cognitive is another really good example of doing that in the round of 8. They were willing to play with have Iacona on the Lily and instead prioritize getting some of the heroes that they really favored in having and felt very confident with, like the Butcher for them. Obviously for this one it's going to be like that Zagara, Jaina, but especially the Arthas and Leoric. They didn't have it in Game 1 of the last series, but they got it in Game 2, and man, they just did a number on their opponents, and they did in this one too. What do you think we'll see for Panda? Like they got Zeratul. They had Zeratul Kael'thas. Like, what can they do? What is it going to be? Is it going to be just like counter picking out the Arthas, the Leoric? Do we ban Zagara? Like, how do we start to dismantle this composition?
I think definitely Jaina was a big part of the plan here, but she definitely wasn't the one that was the game changer. I think you're right to identify Arthas as kind of the big deal here, and I was asking myself as you were talking whether Panda is going to focus on denying the Arthas, whether that might even be someone they would ban, or whether they have someone that can play him. Because if they can play him and they can put him in their own composition and they feel comfortable with that, then that would be obviously the preferable way to do it. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but I don't know for sure whether Panda Global feels like Arthas is part of their existing strategies or they have a player that feels really comfortable with him.
Yeah, he's just kind of starting to get back into things a little bit, so you're right, they definitely could have somebody who is not super confident on him. I'm very interested to see what they'll do. If they choose to pick the Battleground that we're on next, they will have second ban, so it will fall on them possibly to have to ban the Zeratul out, which could kind of mess with things. But maybe they can pick up the Zagara, or I think it was the Zagara. Zagara definitely played a huge role when it came to the team fights with that comp on top of it. So we'll see what they choose to do.
that Devouring Maw and March of the Black King, I love it so much. And you're right about the blizzard kind of being the cherry on top there. It's just kind of a melting. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see what Panda's going to do. We're going to take a quick break while these guys set up the game, and when we return, will Panda Global bring it back in Game 2? Stay tuned.